Welcome back to The Curious Yapper. I'm Madison, your host and favorite yapper. Give you a recap of this past week. It was a doozy. So on Monday, I headed to Florida for a work trip, and it takes pretty much an entire day to make it there. I left the West Coast at 5:30, and I think I landed there about 5. I don't know. It was almost a 12-hour. It was a 12-hour travel day because I was at the airport ahead of my departure. So, long day. I made it to DFW for a connection. I grabbed some Chick-fil-A, checked some emails, hopped on a meeting, then made it to Florida. Got my rental car situated. I chose a Chevy Trailblazer, small little Chevy vehicle, and it was a cool blue color, so I chose that. Made it to my hotel, and a colleague reached out and said they were going to the Cheesecake Factory for dinner and wondered if I wanted to go. I haven't been to the Cheesecake Factory in a while now, over a year, so I said, yes, I'll be there. Delicious meal. We got the Oreo cheesecake to go. And my colleague had never gotten cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory. Crazy, I know. Anywho's, live, laugh, love. Made it back to hotel. Settled in for the night. Got to chat with Evan. It's hard when I travel to Florida because the time zone difference is 3 hours. So when I'm trying to just wind down for the evening, Evan is maybe just getting off work, so it's just another variable that makes it not my number one choice to travel to. The next day, I'm in the office, early bird, and I also hilariously did not change the time zone on my laptop. So my laptop kept showing me Pacific time when I was on East Coast time. And it was good. I could navigate it as long as people weren't speaking in the time zones nearby, because I have an additional time zone on my calendar for a clock, but it was not doing its normal numbers, so I don't know what was going on there. So I was all kinds of discombobulated, trying to figure out what time it was. Anyways, that was Tuesday at the office. I got to meet a colleague that I'd worked on projects with remotely. So me and another colleague, she's from the Texas office, got to go meet her for lunch. We hilariously met at Panera. There's Panera everywhere in the United States. So we were joking about the selection, but when we were at Panera, I realized I didn't have my credit card. And so I used a secondary credit card that I haven't used in a really long time. Realized I probably left my credit card at the Cheesecake Factory the night before. Ended up calling the Cheesecake Factory, and they said they didn't have my card. And I just kept going back in my timeline of things, and I was thinking to myself, I don't know where else it would be. Cheesecake Factory makes the most sense. That was the last time I had or saw my card. Then Tuesday, it was a late night at the office, unfortunately. And because of that, there was no fun dinner or fun outing. It was a survival dinner trip to Taco Bell, and headed back to my hotel to go to sleep and do it all again. My Taco Bell order, they had some new chicken crisper crunch wraps. I'm sorry, I tried both flavors. I don't remember which one I enjoyed more, but got that, and then a potato griller burrito just in case those sliders weren't good. So I did that and crawled into bed. Very exhausting from that. Then Wednesday, we're halfway through the week on a work trip, and we had a team lunch that day, got a turkey sandwich, then we got to do a fun nature walk around the campus, which I hadn't done prior, so that was nice. Then I was another late night, but I thought to myself, I really think my credit card is at the Cheesecake Factory because I get notifications anytime there's a purchase. And there was nothing on my card, so I thought that was odd if it had gotten picked up or stolen. Called again, and the receptionist this time put me on hold because apparently only a manager could talk about lost credit cards. That didn't happen the first time. So I call in, she ends up finding my card, and I was like, well, I'll be there tonight. And because of the timing of stuff, I didn't go straight away. I went to dinner with colleagues that night. We went to a restaurant that was on the bay, so we got to see the sunset. But what was funny about that is I missed the turn the first time, had to do a big U-turn, almost missed it again, and then I was trying to find parking and accidentally turned into valet, and then I was gonna get out of there, but then I got stuck, and so I thought, just gonna do valet, who cares? So I ended up doing valet, and what I thought was odd was that I had to pay at the beginning of valet instead of the end. So that was interesting. It all ended up working out. Got us a spot on the patio, perfect spot for the sunset. And then all of a sudden we see these dark clouds, it starts raining, so we pick up our stuff. I find another table that was dirty, but it was in a perfect location with a little bit of covering. So I put our stuff, we just had drinks, and I don't know if we had an appetizer yet, but I just put that stuff on the new table and start bussing the previous guests' dishes and food to a different table so we could use that. Ended up doing that. Then we ordered, I got some loaded sweet potato fries. They were good. And then I had some chicken tacos later. Anyway, so we had moved once, we had to move again because then the rain picked up and then it was making one of my other colleagues get a little bit soaked. So we moved again. So third time's the charm. And then it was time to depart. And I stopped by the Cheesecake Factory and I picked up my credit card and all was well. I kept thinking I could cancel my card, which is fine, and I was willing to do. But the hotel room and different charges for that specific trip were linked to the credit card that I was going to cancel, and I thought that was going to be a whole nightmare to try to remedy. So I'm very glad that I found the credit card. I don't remember if I chatted with Evan that night or not. Anyways, Thursday, last day in the office, went to Chick-fil-A for lunch and got to try the jalapeno ranch new chicken sandwich, and that was pretty good. Then another late night at the office, sad. Went out to dinner with colleagues after that. I knew I had a really early morning the next day for my departure, so I called it quits about 8:30, headed to my hotel, and I remembered I needed to fill up the car with gas because my first trip to Florida, which was the travel and flying fiasco, ended with me not filling up my tank, and then my company was upset with me. So I was gonna fill up my tank, so I go find a gas station on my way to the hotel, all is well, get out of the car, try to open up the gas tank, and it won't open. Won't open. There's no lever inside the car. It's one where you should just push it and it should come undone when the car is unlocked. And I'm watching a YouTube video that is the most slow. It's 1 minute and 45 seconds that only needed to be 20 seconds, frankly, and it tested my patience. So I'm trying to find how to get this gas cap to open so I can fill the dang car, and it's not working. Gas cap is winning at this point. I try multiple times, YouTube video, nothing's working, and then I feel crazy and I feel really dumb. So I pull up the car one more time, try a different spot. Maybe I just need to put the emergency brake on, something. Not working. At this point, I'm getting more exhausted. I know my brain's not fully working because I'm just plain exhausted at this point. So I head back to the hotel. I call Evan, leave him a voicemail, and I say, I need you to be my brain cells. I need you to look up this make and model of a car. It's not going well. I feel like an idiot. I feel embarrassed, and I think I'm gonna cry. Leave him a voicemail, and then he eventually calls me back. He's like, so sorry, phone is on silent. He tries looking stuff up. He's like, did you try this? And I was like, yes, I did. So I ended up calling him, trying to FaceTime him. But before I get down to the parking garage to FaceTime him, I get into the elevator. I forgot to push a button. That's how exhausted I am. And I don't realize that the elevator's not moving. And then I finally push the button, go down, get to the parking garage, FaceTime Evan, show him he's going through different things that I could try. I'm pushing from the left side, I'm pushing from the right side, I'm pushing all around. I'm opening the trunk to see if there's a secret lever. It is just crazy. Evan tells me later that the camera and the video started glitching, so he couldn't really see what I was doing, so it wasn't very helpful. And there were multiple times after he had given me suggestions and they didn't work, I was like, okay, well, and I was giving up. And he said, we're not giving up yet. And I was like, says who? So I am so defeated at this point. I think it's about 9 p.m. Why am I struggling with opening up a freaking gas cap? Absolutely crazy. Again, he's giving me different suggestions. Finally, he says, try to grab a credit card, see if you can lever it open. It opens. Fantastic. Then he says, okay, don't close it. And you're going to drive to the gas station. Don't close it. So I don't close it. And then I guess with the wind or something, it closes. And when I get to the gas station, it's closed again. However, I use a credit card, all is well. I fill up and it's like $11 of gas, something stupid that caused me such agony. But thank you to Evan for the brain cells. I got filled up, I packed, and I think that night I slept max of 4 hours because I think I was still up at 10 something, and I had to be up at 2:40 the next morning. Crazy, which Pacific time was 11:40, so it's like just a late night. The time change was killer. So do all that, and then it's the next day, Friday. I'm up early, heading to the airport, check in my car, do all the things. I was surprised that there was a line for security at 3:30 in the morning. So I'm not sure if it's spring break travel or if people were nervous about the TSA security lines. I'm really not sure, but I did wait again at 3:30 a.m. Had to wait about 20 minutes. Not a big deal, not a big line. So grateful for 20 minutes. It was just wild that at 3:30 in the morning there was a line. So everybody else was trying to make their flights. I was really nervous about my flight from Florida and then making my connection in DFW because I only had an hour in between. And in my previous flights from Florida, those have been delayed either to take off or just in the air. There was delays, and so I was very nervous. Turns out we departed early, we landed early, all was well. I made it really easy for my connection, got a delicious breakfast sandwich on a croissant, then did make it on my flight and got to see the mountains as I flew in, and again, just feels like home for sure. I got home, I did my laundry, threw that in the washer, took a nap, then woke up, went on a walk with Evan, saw some cherry blossoms, went and got pizza. That was a really long line. Then we were gonna get ice cream. Then we saw that was a huge line. The sun was shining and people were out and we were not gonna wait for them. So got back home, watched the new episode of The Pit, and then called it a night. But that was an exhausting day. An exhausting trip all around, actually. Then yesterday, got to sleep in a little bit, headed to a park so that we could do some stairs because Evan is getting into that right now. And it is kind of fun to see my own progress. The first time we ever did the stairs, I did 3 sets. Next time I did 4, and this past time I did 5. I knew that I could do more than 5. I was thinking I could do 6, maybe 7 if I was huffing and puffing. But I knew we were going to hike today, so I wanted to be able to move without pain. So yesterday I did 5 sets, and then I got to finish an audiobook while I was doing some laps in between. We came back, we made breakfast, then we went and got groceries, got some fun little snacks at Trader Joe's, picked up flowers, and then we also picked up the new sour mushroom candy, and those are very sour. When I got home, I tried to make some bouquets with my fun flowers. The execution did not match my vision, and I don't think I picked the best flowers in a cohesive way. They were not cohesive, but they're in my home, so it is what it is. After that, we just relaxed for the evening. Today, I woke up, started reading, got to FaceTime with my sister. Then we headed to go shopping, got some gear. I got some sun shirts with a hood. I got 2 of those. I got another set of pants, and then I got another jacket. So that was fun. Not fun. Fun's not the right word. Actually, it was kind of disappointing, but some of the things I got were good. And then some of the selections, again, I've said this, but in a plus size body, you don't get all of the options of colors or of brands, and that's always disappointing when I go shopping. So I wish brands had more inclusive sizing on both ends. I'm sure that the smaller than small, smaller than extra small, I'm sure they don't feel included in sizing. And then on my side of the spectrum in the plus size, it's not fun. And I did end up not getting just a black jacket, so that was a positive. But I really wanted like a blue jacket. Didn't exist. Or brown. Didn't exist. So we shopped. Then we got to hike after. It was sprinkling a little bit. We saw a lot of trail runners. I don't know what it is, but we see more trail runners than we do hikers in the areas we've been going to recently. So that's been interesting too. Came home, made burritos again. I got to finish a book. I read Alice Feeney's My Husband's Wife. It is not my favorite of her books. My favorite is still Rock, Paper, Scissors. Love that one. The next one I need to read is His and Hers, which I guess was adapted for Netflix, so I need to do that. Then we watched the Necessary Conversation podcast. It's our Sunday ritual. And then I'll be off to bed pretty darn soon. So that was my week. My being out of the comfort zone was entirely the work trip to Florida. I hope that those are reducing soon, specifically all the way to the East Coast. Anyways, I appreciate your time. Thanks for the Obsessed Yappers. I'll see you soon, and do your best to have a good week, and maybe you do something outside of your comfort zone. Bye, Yappers.